I live? Okay, title of today's discussion is what to do when reality doesn't show you what you want. And we are going to break this discussion into two parts. Number one, it's going to be a story. I'll tell you all the story. And it's going to kind of follow the pattern that we've been going in the How Would Alex Manifest A to Z. Except this time we're going to talk through it from the perspective of someone who is waking up and figuring this stuff out. Okay, so we're going to do that. Then we're going to get right into the discussion, and we're going to hit straight on when reality is not showing you what you want for a bunch of different reasons, right? What happens if it's showing you the opposite? What happens if you want the money and you just get a little bit of money? What happens when that person that you want shows up, but then they pull back, right? How do you handle these circumstances? How do you handle these circumstances? All right, so here we go. The question that we're going to constantly revisit is this: will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? In 99.9999999% of the issues that I see with manifestation, at least with the people that I deal with, right, it is instead of deciding who they are, they might decide for a little bit, but then you veer off and you allow the world to tell you who you are. You're waiting for permission from something outside to say, this is who you are. That is the trap. That is your trap. So here we go. Let's read through this. Okay. I didn't lose faith. I stood up from my seat as God. At least that's how it feels looking back now. At the beginning, deciding felt clean, almost holy. There was an authority in it. It wasn't loud, it wasn't emotional, just settled. I didn't affirm much. I didn't visualize endlessly. I just knew. It felt done in the way something feels done before words get involved. I remember thinking, this is different. I'm not trying this time. And for once, that was true. Then reality moved. Not all at once, not dramatically, just enough to wake the part of me that wanted to watch. Okay, a message came through. But it wasn't the message. Money showed up, but not cleanly. Opportunity appeared, but it required waiting, patience, inconvenience. And instead of remaining where I was when I decided, I leaned forward, just slightly, enough to start asking questions, right? So here's the first fork in the road. You decide what you want, and you get a little bit of reinforcement, right? A little bit of money, right? That person shows up, and maybe it's a sign, all right? Or what you perceive as a sign, right? And instead of you staying seated in where you are, right, in the truth of who you are, now you begin to move forward and you start to observe and say, is this right? Is this happening the right way? Is this it? Am I doing everything right? Okay. So now I start judging based on what I see. Here we go. So let me read that part again. A message came through, but it wasn't the message. Money showed up, but not cleanly. Opportunity appeared, but it required waiting, patience, inconvenience. And instead of remaining where I was when I decided, I leaned forward just slightly, enough to start asking questions. Is this it? Is this working? What does this mean? That was the first fork, even though I didn't recognize it yet. So that moment where you get teased just enough to get your attention, that's the first fork. That's when the first questions start to come up. Am I doing it right? What's going on? What is this? Let's go forward a little bit, all right? So at this first fork, you get a little bit of a hint from reality, right? The first path requires nothing from you except remaining who you are. The other path asks you to interpret. So let's go forward with this story, all right? So that was the first fork, even though I didn't recognize it yet. One path required nothing from me except remaining who I was. The other asked me to interpret. I chose interpretation and told myself I was being responsible. From there, it got subtle. I started measuring days. How long is this? How long has it been? Good days meant progress. Bad days meant doubt. Silence felt dangerous. Movement felt relieving. Relief became my reward, right? Anxiety became my punishment. Without realizing it, I had placed my identity on a leash held by circumstance. There we go, right? So just by leaning in and starting to ask questions about why is this right? Is it working? Now, all of a sudden, I put myself on this leash, right? Don't answer him. He's a troll. Don't answer him. He's a troll. All right. So you put yourself on this leash and all of a sudden you're getting dragged around by circumstance. You're getting drugged around by circumstance. All right. So I still talked about I am, right? I still talked about I am. I still understood the concepts. I could explain them beautifully, but something was off. I was no longer standing in truth. I was hovering around it, checking in, waiting for permission to relax, right? So you already get caught in that trap, right? I can explain the concepts beautifully, brilliantly, but now I get stuck. I get caught up in the trap, right? That was the second fork. Remain seated or keep standing up to look. Remain seated or keep standing up to look. I kept standing up. When the person came back, I felt it immediately. The exhale, the relief, and in that moment, I lost myself. I stopped being the one who knew and became the one who hoped it would last. I watched tone. I tracked timing. I read into pauses, into silence. I told myself I was being intuitive, but I was being afraid. I told myself I was being intuitive, but I was being afraid. When money came in partially, I told myself to be grateful, right? Trying to be grateful for something you don't want, right? I want more, but I'm trying to be grateful now, right? When commitment was conditional, I told myself to be patient. When things felt almost right, I told myself this was maturity, that wanting more was ego, and that this was growth, right? We'll take this ego and now we cast off our desires on that ego, on that made up being within ourselves. We'll say, oh, I don't really need all that money. This is good enough. When all that is just ego, this is good enough. Right? That was the third fork. Am I going to rest in my truth? Am I going to stand in my truth? Or just am I going to settle for these crumbs? It's a little bit comfortable, so I'll settle for this, right? I chose comfort and dressed it up as wisdom. And this is where it hit me like a slow burn. Nothing was sticking because nothing could. I wasn't stable. Not because I was emotional. The emotions didn't matter, but because I kept switching who I was depending on what was happening. And there we go, right? There's the major issue that we constantly face. Is we keep switching up who we are based on what we see. Right now, I'm in this loving relationship. I am prosperity. And then the moment that bill shows, I'm not. The moment that person shows up and they give me a little pinch of attention, all of a sudden, ooh, it's good enough. I should just be grateful for this. All right? So here we go. I kept switching who I was depending on what was happening. I was no longer the source. I was a responder. I was just responding to reality. One night sitting alone, I realized something that felt brutal in its simplicity. Reality wasn't confusing me. Because we'll often look out there and say, it's just confusing. I don't know what to do. It's just back and forth and hot and cold and this and that. I don't know what to do. Just that I don't know what to do right there should already be an alarm that goes off. Because if you're saying you don't know what to do, what you're really doing is saying, I've been trying to do a whole bunch of shit and nothing is sticking. And now reality is just mirroring that chaos, right? So you look out and you see all these different things that make no fucking sense. Well, if you look in, you're going to see all kinds of different things going on within you. One day you're decided, the next day you're unstable, the next moment you're crying, the next moment you have not sat down in the truth. So reality is just going to mirror that instability. Okay? So here we go. Reality wasn't confusing me. I was confusing myself. I kept asking the world to decide who I was and then resenting it for answering inconsistently. I wanted love to make me feel chosen instead of choosing myself. I wanted money to make me feel safe instead of standing as safety. I wanted confirmation instead of authorship. That was the final fork. That was the final decision, right? That realization, oh, it's all me. The path of self-accountability, it's all me. So what happens? We have that final fork, and it says you can either stand up or keep waiting. Now, sometimes we'll constantly wait and be like, okay, well, when does it click? When does it click? When does it click? Hear this part, okay? Hear this. There was no emotional breakthrough, no rush of confidence, just a decision that felt heavier than all the others because it couldn't be undone by mood. The decision felt heavier than others because it can no longer be undone by mood. I stopped watching. But I didn't stop watching as a technique. This is why some of y'all be like, hey, I'm about to stop. Somebody in the Discord was like, hey, I'm about to stop watching content. The first question I said is why? When will it be okay to watch again? Right? Are you doing it as some technique? You say you're doing it for yourself, but deep down you're really doing it as a technique because you're hoping if you just turn away, then things will come rushing in. It's just your attempt to try something else. You're not really just doing it because I want to do it, I want to clear my mind. You're doing it to get something. So y'all tell me, hey, look, I've been trying to do this for 6 months. I've been doing everything right for it. No, you haven't. You've been trying to get something. You haven't been giving yourself the experience and knowing that you have it. You've been doing all of this trying to get something, and that's why you feel exhausted. That's why you feel exhausted, right? So here we go. There was no emotional breakthrough, no rush of confidence, just a decision that felt heavier than all the others because it couldn't be undone by mood. That is power. A decision that you make that cannot be undone by mood. I stopped watching. Stopped watching reality. Not as a technique, but as a refusal. I made the decision. I will not allow reality to dictate who I am anymore. Okay? I stopped checking messages for meaning. I stopped assigning days as good or bad. I stopped using outcomes as mirrors. I finally just lived in the knowing that it is what it is, right? I lived. I went to the gym. I built my work. I filled my days. I let desire exist without letting it lead. There we go. Did you catch that bar? I let desire exist without letting it lead. I didn't pretend I didn't want. I'm not out here pretending I don't want. Your desire is holy. I just stopped kneeling. I just stopped kneeling. I stopped putting that desire on such this pedestal and just accepted it as, oh, this is just the truth of who I am. But I am the source. Okay? For the first time, I understood what authority meant. The anxiety did not vanish immediately. The ego still spoke. Doubt still knocked. But none of it mattered anymore. I wasn't asking it for permission. I was no longer negotiating my position with my own nervous system. And so for the first time, I understood what authority meant. It didn't mean calm. It didn't mean emotional certainty. It meant the refusal to move. Reality reorganized slowly, then suddenly, because I stopped interfering. That's how it always looks like. It always looks like it takes a long time until it all happens overnight and everybody's like, what did you do? I just stayed true. I just walked in the truth. I just accepted the truth and I walked in the truth. That was it, right? Reality reorganized slowly, then suddenly, because I stopped interfering with it. What returned actually stayed this time. What arrived stabilized. What once felt fragile became inevitable, and the truth finally landed, unromantically. Manifestation was never about getting what I wanted. I know that can be triggering, right? If it is triggering, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Keep going. All right? Manifestation was never about getting what I wanted. It's not. It was about stopping the habit of leaving myself. It's about you. It was about breaking the habit of leaving myself and giving authority to the external world. It was the moment that you start saying, you can't tell me shit about me. Reality cannot tell me anything about me. What I see out there, what I feel, the thoughts, what you say, what your mom says, what a random troll in the comments say, that shit means nothing to me. You can't tell me about me. The only person that has authority in deciding who you are is you. That's it. That is it. Okay? So manifestation is not about getting what you want. It's about stopping the habit of leaving yourself. And all the things that you desire, they show up as a byproduct of you not leaving yourself. All your desires are already here. They're already there. You already have them, but can you recognize that? And they show up as a natural byproduct of that recognition when you stop actually walking away from yourself. So every fork that you encounter on this road, it asks the same question. Will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? And this is the question that we constantly face, right? I've seen this over and over in the Discord. I see it over and over in the comments. I see it over and over in my DMs. I see it over and over in the coaching sessions. I see it over and over and over and over, is that the circumstance shows up, the thought shows up, the doubt shows up, the emotion shows up, your parent shows up, your friend circle shows up, some new technique shows up, and you are asked the question, will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? And this is the place where gods are forged. This is the place where gods are forged. This is the place where you break free from the programming. And you say, yeah, I'm going to do it my own way. This is who I am. And on the other side of that decision is everything that you desire. But the first thing that you have to do is you have to stop leaving yourself. You have to stop abandoning yourself to adhere or conform or be a slave to what everybody outside of you is trying to tell you. Right? Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, the circumstances, the thoughts, the emotions, I shall fear no evil. Right? I walk with the Lord. The wall with I am, with the truth of who you are. Okay? So that was the first half of this. Now, let's get a little bit into the actual discussion points. All right? So what to do in reality offers you a lesser version. This is where most people settle and call it maturity. Now, here we go. Here we go. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to switch tones a little bit, but I want you to understand. So I'm going to explain why, and before y'all start crying and bitching and hollering about contradictions, all right? Every step that you take is the right path, but keep in mind the question, all right? Keep in mind the question. Will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? This whole thing, this whole discussion that we're going to have, it's going to be about authority. What happens when you get a lesser version of what you want? Well, the question comes up, right? Will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? What happens if you have anxiety? Will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? All right, so let me read the first part and you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about, all right? Not every door that opens is provision. Not every return is restoration. Not every opportunity is alignment. Do you understand what I'm saying? You desire this person to show up in this beautiful way. They come in and all of a sudden abuse. What do? Right? What do? You desire this money and all of a sudden a new bill comes. What do? You wanted this opportunity with X amount of pay. An opportunity shows up, but it's not the amount of pay. Terrible culture. It's a lesser version. Right? Now, you have these decisions to make, right? Am I going to say, yeah, this is just good enough. I'll take it. It's something. It's a breadcrumb, right? What this discussion is about is if it's not the end, it's not the end. It's just the unfolding. It does not matter what you do moving forward. So you don't have to put yourself in compromising positions. You don't have to throw away your values or your boundaries. You don't have to settle for less. What is yours is promised to you. It's your birthright. So you can take whatever step that you want down that path. Any step that you want. But you do not have to settle for less. You don't have to settle for abuse. You don't have to settle for less. You don't have to compromise. There are infinite roads to get you to what you want. Infinite roads. Infinite roads. If it ain't what you want, it ain't what you want. That's not the end. That's not the end. It's just movement. It's just the unfolding. All right? Cool. Let's keep going, all right? So here we go. Not every door that opens is provision. Not every return is restoration. Not every opportunity is alignment. Some are tests of self-respect. Now, if life's not testing you, but sometimes you're put in positions and you get to answer the question, will you remain who you are or will you ask the world to tell you again? Reality will often offer you a version that almost fits. An almost relationship that feels safer than being alone. Right? That guy that's in and out your life, it feels safer than being by yourself. Right? He come give you that pipe, a couple times a month. It's safer than solitude, right? Partial money that eases pressure but preserves limitation. Conditional commitment that keeps you hoping but never anchored. Just pulling your little heartstrings, right? Temporary relief that quiets the nervous system without honoring the soul. These moments feel merciful. They feel practical. They feel adult. And this is precisely why they're dangerous. This is why they are dangerous. All right, so now, Hosea 4:6. My people perish for lack of vision. The first scripture we got into. My people perish for lack of vision. Perishing. What does perishing mean in this sense? Let me bold that shit. Let me bold the whole goddamn thing. All right. Perishing means drifting into smaller lives because clarity was traded for comfort. So if you think of perishing, drifting, right? My people perish. They drift. They die, right? They die into smaller lives. They drift into smaller lives because clarity was traded for comfort. Now, vision is not imagination. What is vision? Vision, the acceptance of your desire as truth, is the refusal to pretend that less is enough just because it arrived. Just because the pipe arrived does not mean it needs to be worshipped. Huh? Who are you? Who are you? All right. Perishing here doesn't mean dramatic failure or visible collapse. It means erosion. It is the slow narrowing of life that happens when vision is abandoned in favor of what feels immediately manageable. Vision isn't fantasy. Vision is orientation. Okay? So when I accept the truth of who I am, right? The vision becomes orientation. When vision is absent, people don't stop moving, right? You're always moving. They simply move without direction. They begin making decisions based on relief, on comfort, on convenience, on social acceptability, rather than the truth of who they are. Life continues, but it shrinks. So without vision, without standing in truth, life is going to continue, but it continuously shrinks. It shrinks. It shrinks. It shrinks. Okay? Spiritually, lack of vision doesn't create chaos. It can create compromise. Without vision, almost becomes acceptable. Partial feels responsible. And temporary relief is mistaken for provision. People don't perish because they want too much. You can't want too much. They perish because they stop wanting what is true. Vision protects you from calling less wisdom just because it arrived. When you have vision and you sit in the truth of what you want, you stop calling these small little trinkets and tokens wisdom just because they're here. If I want a relationship, right? This person that shows up that can't offer me that, doesn't matter how good the cookie is, doesn't matter how well they tickle your private parts. Will you settle for less? Or will you walk in the truth of who you are? Okay? Will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? We're going to keep coming back to that question. Whatever circumstances you're walking in. Oh, he did this. He didn't pick up. He ghosted. You know what I'm saying? The money's tight. This happened in life. This health condition. This happened in this situation. This car. This house problem. Whatever the case may be. Okay, that's cool. Will you remain who you are, or will you ask the world to tell you again? What happens happened. What is happening in front of you is happening in front of you. That it's fine. It is what it is. But who are you? Who are you? Whatever is happening is happening, but who are you? Are you going to settle, or you continue to walk in the truth of who you are? Okay, here we go. Almost is the most efficient way to get stuck. The ego loves almost. Almost gives you relief without requiring transformation. Almost lets you say, at least I have something. It's better than nothing. Almost allows you to avoid the discomfort of standing alone in what you know is true. Almost allows you to avoid the discomfort of standing alone in what you know is true. But mysticism has always treated almost as a warning sign. That's all it is. Almost is a warning sign. So here we go. Gospel of Philip, one of the Gnostic texts. It says, light and darkness, life and death, right and left are brothers of one another. They are inseparable. Therefore, the good are not good, nor are the evil evil, nor is life life, nor is death death. Okay? All right. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. If you want to get the pipe, you can get the pipe whenever. I'm not telling you what to do or not do. I'm simply telling you the dangers of settling for less than you want. If you want the first night pipe, second night pipe, third night, I'm not here to give advice on how long to wait. Waiting is meaningless. You get the pipe whenever you want. I was just making an example to say, do not settle for less. Don't settle for less. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I don't care if you are a first night pipe giver, pipe receiver, or a 30-day or 60, whatever the fucking rules that y'all have these days. All right? Still getting dumped with all them rules. So here we go. This is discernment. All right? So let's talk about this. Can still delay truth. The lesser version often comes wrapped in light, not shadow. That is why it works. That is why it works. Settling for less is settling for what you don't want. Right? You want the relationship from him, right? He only shows up twice a week. One of them weeks he's drunk. It's after the club. 3 a.m. you got to work the next day. Then he takes your car for the whole day and drive. This is not what you want. That's settling. Say, well, at least I have something. That's settling. Huh? You took a job. It's not what you want. You got to pay rent. Then you take the job and you pay rent. But you understand that that is not the end, right? You keep going. See, Alexa, you always give me these examples. And I'm like, are you even listening to some of the examples that you give? Right? If you got to pay rent, you got to pay rent. So you allow life to unfold. All I'm saying is that if it's not what you want, it's not the end. Come on, guys. Listening comprehension disorder, some of y'all have, all right? If it's not what you want, it's not the end, it's still unfolding. What is the truth of what you want? Well, I want X amount of money. Okay, well, is this X amount of money? Okay, well, you can make a decision right here. Like I said earlier, I'm going to say it more clear. I'm going to say it slower for y'all and more clearly. It does not matter what you do. You can accept it or not accept it as far as taking it right now. However, are you going to stop and say, you know what? I'm going to give up on my truth. This is my truth now. That's settling. My goodness, guys. Come on. Keep up. Keep the fuck up. All right. If you decide that this is your truth, I want X amount of money. You say, Alex, I didn't take the job because it wasn't exactly how much I wanted to make. But I can't pay the rent now because I didn't take the job. I'm going to say, well, first of all, let's forget about manifestation and let's just talk about common sense. How about that? Let's get you just into a common sense mindset, all right? So what are you going to do for money now? Okay. Now, what I'm saying is you do what's best for you in this moment. But your goal, what you accept as truth, you do not let that shit go. Yeah, you might sell feet pics, OnlyFans, strip, shake that little ass. All right, I'm getting way off the plot, all right? But the point is that when you make that decision, okay, continue to walk towards that decision. Know that that decision is unfolding. You are that decision. It's unfolding from within you. Do not give up your desire just because you get a little breadcrumb down here. That is the moment that we were talking about earlier, right? Where you get that little hint from reality. You perceive it as a hint. It doesn't mean anything. Movement is just movement. But what it causes you to do is to lean forward. You're sitting in the truth of who you are. Then all of a sudden you lean forward. What does this mean? Is it working out? Am I doing it right? That's the trap. That is the trap. Stay seated. Of course you're doing it right. You're making the rules. Of course you're doing it right. You make the rules. Here we go. So, matter of fact, we're just going to do Q&A. I think that first part was good. We're going to split this. We're going to split this up into two parts. And I'm going to read this letter to y'all. All right? And then we're going to end this here. I'm going to do this second part tomorrow. Because sometimes y'all act real confused. Okay? Here we go. Here we go. All right? So this is a love letter to all of y'all. One of the most romantic love letters that I've ever written. Okay? Here we go. Beloved. 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 Why do you keep letting the external world tell you who you are and then act confused when nothing changes? Why do you wake up every day pretending you're sovereign, then spend the rest of the day letting text, silence, tone, timing, and imagined meanings drag you around by the throat? You're not being tested. You're exposing yourself over and over again. Be honest with yourself for once. You're not processing, you're obsessing. You're not following intuition, you are scanning for permission. You're not being patient, you're afraid to stand without witnesses. You say you know who you are, but the moment someone pulls back, your identity collapses. The moment something feels off, you spiral. The moment the world doesn't reflect what you want, you abandon yourself and start negotiating again. That is not manifestation. That is dependency with spiritual language. Let's stop lying. You're not heartbroken because of love. You're heartbroken because you keep making someone else the reference point of your existence. You're sobbing over an SP because you've paused your life waiting for them to confirm that you matter. And as long as you do that, they will always feel bigger than you. Look at the pattern. You call it a good day when they move closer. You call it a bad day when they pull away. You measure progress by their behavior instead of your stability. You call silence a sign. You call crumbs movement. You call anxiety intuition. And then you wonder why you feel exhausted, unstable, powerless. You wonder why you continue to think that this is so difficult. You're exhausted because you're living as a reaction and not a source. You keep telling yourself that once the thing arrives, you'll finally feel grounded. That once they commit, once they choose you, once they show up the right way, then you'll relax. That is ass backwards. That is why nothing sticks. You keep waiting for the world to do the job that only you can do. No one can stabilize you from the outside. And here's the part you really don't want to face. As long as you keep centering your life around another person, you are not available for the life you claim to want. You're too busy watching, interpreting, hoping, fearing, and adjusting, and you're not living. You're not choosing. You're not embodying. You are just waiting and auditioning. Stop calling it love. Love doesn't make you smaller. Love doesn't require you to disappear. Love doesn't reduce you to a nervous system begging for consistency. What you are doing isn't devotion. It is self-betrayal repeated daily. And no amount of spiritual knowledge will save you from this. I don't care how much you know about the I am. I don't care how many teachings you understand. I don't care how many lectures you have listened to. If you do not make a clean, internal decision about who you are and remain there regardless of appearances, nothing changes. Ever. The reason people come back and don't stay is because you collapse the moment you feel relief. Relief is where you sit down. Relief is where you hand your power back to circumstances. Relief is where you stop watching, or relief is where you start watching again instead of standing. You don't need another technique. You don't need another sign. You don't need another conversation. You need to stop abandoning yourself. Live your life. Build something that has nothing to do with them. Does that sound like a foreign concept to you? Build something that has nothing to do with them. Move your body. Strengthen your nervous system. Expand your days. Make yourself solid. Stop orbiting someone else's behavior like it is the sun. Stop treating love like a scoreboard. Stop calling obsession passion and fear intuition. Stop waiting to be chosen while refusing to choose yourself. Stop waiting to be chosen while refusing to choose yourself. This is the truth. The external world isn't dictating who you are. You're offering yourself up every time you react. Stand up internally and stay there, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it feels lonely, even if no one validates it. Because the moment you stop moving with every perceived good or bad sign, reality has no choice but to reorganize, because you finally become someone it has to respond to. This is not about getting them back. This is about getting yourself back. All right? Stand up and stay there. All right? I am that I am, no matter what. No matter what. Cool? All right, y'all. Let's do some questions, and then I will let y'all divinely go. Is manifestation only easy once you're on the other side of it? Because it seems everyone who hasn't done it yet is struggling. Struggling is an assumption, man. Yeah, I guess when you're on the other side of it, you'll realize how simple it was, but you don't have to wait until that point, right? It's not difficult to make a decision and stick with it. What is typically the difficulty is that we're so entangled with the external reality and we're so used to allowing everybody else to decide who we are that we're not just making a decision and being like, oh, this decision is, it is what it is, and reality's going to do whatever it does, it's going to lead me there. We're fighting with thoughts and feelings and doubts and emotions and circumstances, and we're we're not in we're not in the mode where we're allowing life, where we're just resisting everything, needing confirmation, needing validation, needing somebody to tell me I'm doing it right. When you're God, how are you, if you are God and you're making the rules, just you sitting there and asking somebody if you're doing it right is the admission that you're fucking not. It just it's such a simple, it's a simple concept. I'm not saying it's easy by any means, but it definitely is a simple concept. But it requires us peeling back the layers of ourself. And this is the ultimate path of self accountability, no doubt about it. Is that there the decision was me. I could read all the books, I could hear all the coaches, I could, but I have to jump out that plane. I have to make the decision for myself. Nobody else can make it for me. Nobody else can decide for me. I have to decide. Right? The same way that I'll say, well, oh, it's hard. It just seems really hard for me to make a decision when the reality shows me differently. So yeah, I used to think that too. But then I realized, and it seems like such a light realization, but it was like, yeah, I realized, how do I know? Like I say that I know that this can't happen because I'm looking out there, but I'm just choosing not to know. Or I'm using reality as a catalyst. She's not here because I know she's not here because reality tells me. Well, if I take the opposite vision and I actually say, okay, well, if reality is not the truth and God is within me and that's the truth and God is everything, then the truth is that she is with me. The truth is that the money is with me. And so it just requires this simple perspective shift of what do you consider to be real? Do you consider external what you see to be real? Or do you consider the truth that you are God to be real, that God is within you to be real? And now it's a very simple shift for me to actually tell the truth and say, you know what? Hell yeah, they are with me. Hell yeah, the money is already here. And then the next thing, right? It'll be like, well, it's been X amount of time. I'm like, no, it hasn't. It's only right now. But just me sitting there and saying it's been an X amount of time, I can't in the same breath say I've been doing everything right and then say it's been X amount of time. I'm admitting that I have not had something for X amount of time. So it's there's simple things that if you can only have what you have, then make the decision that you have it. And so now anything that contradicts that, I'm not accepting that as truth. I'm not accepting that as truth. Because it's not the truth. The truth is that if God is within me, it is me. Point blank, period. I don't care if I can see it or not. It's here. And that's the amount of stubborn acceptance of truth that you have to have. We'll have that same stubborn acceptance about what we see out there. We'll have that same, we will double down on accepting a truth that we don't want to live by. If you want to be with her, if you want to be with him, if you want that money, right? Well, why are you holding on to a truth that's opposite of that? You don't even want it. You don't even want to hold on to that, right? And yeah, I upload all this on YouTube. It's all on YouTube. Okay. Starting point. It's a great question. It's a great question. Almost is a warning sign because almost can pull us into the trap of saying, is this working? What's going on? Am I on the right path? Am I doing it right? Right? That is why almost is kind of this warning sign, right? That's why almost can be dangerous because almost ain't it, right? I have it. So if I have it, if I decide I have it, I have it, I have it, and now I see a little something and I'm like, is it working? Boom. I'm out of the state, right? I'm not the one who has anymore. That's why it's dangerous. That's why it's something just to watch out for, something to be careful about, right? If you can only have what you have, then boom, hold up now, right? If I'm immediately thinking like, do I have that? Am I doing it right? I couldn't ask that question if I had it. Of course I'm doing it right because I said so. There's nothing to do right anyway. Right? There's nothing to do right anyway. All of this is not about adding something new, right? If you're still thinking about adding new stuff, adding new techniques, adding new processes, you're still kind of missing it, right? It should always be stripping away. You already have it. So now you're stripping away the illusions that say you don't. Trying to add more processes is not going to allow you to have something. You already have it. It's already the truth about you. It's the exact situation that didn't offer a job. Exactly. Okay. Well, if you still need to pay your rent right now, do you believe that taking this job is the end all be all, or could you still apply for stuff? Can you still move forward and allow everything to unfold? Right. Remember, this is just one moment in time. Whether you take it or not, everything is going to work out. But have you accepted that? So it doesn't matter if you take it, reject it. It's all going to work out. Take it. If it's going to make you feel better to pay your bills in the meantime, take it. But don't allow this just because you can pay your bills. Don't allow that to suck your dream away. You can have everything. And you can enjoy all past. Every single step that you take is blessed because you're the one taking it. It's not about what you do in the middle. It's about you sticking to the knowing of who you are and accepting your truth. And the truth comes in infinite ways. You don't know what can happen that first day or second day. All of a sudden somebody can leave and they can take you with them to the opportunity of your life. You don't know what could happen, right? Be open. Be curious about life. Stop taking life so seriously. It's just a game. You are the source. Look at everything as, I wonder how this is leading me to where I want to be. I wonder how this is leading me to where I want to be. Be curious about it. Lean in, man. I already have it, so I know this step is promised and perfect and divine. Be curious. Now, when I say lean, I know I said don't lean in on the other side. You're not leaning in and say, am I doing something right? Of course you're doing everything right. You should have the arrogance to walk around and know that you're always doing everything right. It's not about the step that you take. It's about who is the one taking the step, guys. It doesn't matter what you do. If you ask me like, hey, look, I don't know what to do, I'm going to say, then do whatever or do nothing. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Do nothing. If you already have it, what should the constant thoughts be? Who knows? They should be whatever if you already have it right now, the constant thoughts are whatever the constant thoughts are in your mind right now. Don't start trying to manage your thoughts just because you think that you should think differently if you had them. It's really confusing because you say that we're doing wrong, yet say we're doing everything right. It's not that confusing, sir. You have it. Anything that implies that you don't have it is wrong. Anything that implies that you have it is right. Point blank period, guys. Does when I look so I want y'all to think about this, right? Because I know what y'all are doing. Y'all are trying to use excuses to justify your lackful behavior. Okay, so let me give you an answer, or let me give you an example. Okay. Let me give you an answer or an example. All right, I say that I have this relationship. Then this person doesn't text me back. And I'm tripping. I'm saying, oh, it's just never going to work out. And I don't know why he's doing this. And manifestation sucks. Am I being the one who has it? No. So obviously I'm doing something wrong, right? So your only job is to decide that you have it. I know you guys are smart. Okay, because you're not dumb if you're coming to this level of spiritual concepts now, right? So the question that you're always going to ask, that I keep asking in this situation, is what? Will you remain who you are? Will you remain the one who has it? Or will you ask the world to tell you again? Do you have it or not? Do you have it or not? Let me see here. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. That's absolutely beautiful, I know, right? That's absolutely beautiful, right? You persist in that story of health and voila, right? They're healthy. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to your family. Beautiful. So once it became simple for you, there was no going back from that understanding or forgetting the simplicity of it. No, I mean there's still doubts and stuff. There's still doubts sometimes, right? That's part of my humanity, but those things don't get in my way. Okay. But it seems like I'm taking the wrong steps, no matter how hard I try. The wrong steps towards what, sir? So how can you have it and then be taking the wrong steps to it? You get what I'm saying? I know you get what I'm saying. There's no steps to take to it. Okay? You already have it. Every step that you take is the unfolding of it, but you jump off the path the moment that you're saying I'm doing something wrong. Wrong. Like y'all be contradicting the fuck out of yourselves and then looking at me like I'm saying some profound shit. Like you have it or you don't have it. I'm not saying anything profound. It's not about looking out there and feeling bad. It's about looking out there and allowing out there to determine your sense of self-worth. Okay? Because what you're doing is this. Let's not come on now, Sarah. Come on now, Sarah. Look. What you are doing, you can't tell me that you've been walking around as somebody who has the relationship when just the other day you were talking about how in May, a time that isn't even here, how in May you're not going to have them. So, who, I don't know why, who do you think you're playing with when you talk to me? Look, if you have them, then you have them. Okay? If you have them, you have them. Every step that you take is the unfolding of that situation. Huh? If they're looking at you and they are not hitting you back or they're hitting you back, it's still all for you. It's still all for you. Huh? You can't mess up. If you decide that you have something, there's no messing up. If you decide that you're not having it, if you decide that you don't have it, well, you don't have it, right? Reality will continue to give you who you're being. Yeah, who do you say I am? The question. That is the question, right? In whatever situation is showing up in front of you, who are you? Who do you say you are? Who do you say you are? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I have it it, and that's it. I just have it. I just have it. I just have it. You tell me, sir. Did you delay anything? Do you have it? Thanks, Maria. Damn, we're gonna have to have a don't cross boundaries talk for the women and for the men today. Where's Sneeko or SST, whatever, whichever account he gonna pop up from today. The last video you said all this stuff I literally do unconsciously. It's what causes delay. Unconsciously? I don't cross boundaries. I'm not a boundary crosser. Thanks, sis. Love you. Love you, sis. You don't have to see the difference, sir. You don't have to see the difference. You don't have to know the difference between I am and ego and all that stuff. It's just a perspective. You don't have to know the difference between all of that. All you gotta know is that everything's gonna work out no matter what. That's it. Do I get frustrated repeating the same stuff? No. I know that it doesn't come from like a bad place. It's just y'all want to know. Y'all want to know. Sometimes I just push myself to try to explain it in a different way. That's all. But I also know that, you know, yeah. I just try to kind of expand. I'm. It's not that I'm frustrated. Sometimes I'm trying to think of different ways to say things, and then I start thinking of different ways to even put these discussions right. But also sometimes I'm like, man, I know that I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be up here for an hour, and then you might not ever go back to the YouTube, even though you could probably score through the YouTube and get all the information that you need. I got so many videos up there on so many different things, right? And I know that it'll be a question that's asked that I just talked about for like 3 hours. And I would be like, go watch it. But even when I say that, will you do that, or are you so focused on getting that person right now that you can't even fathom spending a couple minutes and like taking notes and implementing some stuff, right? So sometimes that part frustrates me because I'm like, come on, y'all. But I don't give up on y'all. The discussions, that's cool too, right? But all of that, it's starting to be where if I ask people to come over, it's gonna be a lot of people requesting, and then I can do the time and all that. But even that, it's a lot of energy. I already do a whole bunch of free shit. I already do a whole bunch of free shit, so it's like I don't really. Okay, all right. Let me be completely honest. I do this shit because I love y'all, but I don't really I don't treat this like I owe y'all anything. I just do this because I like to do it. All right, so it's not. I don't have this sense of like, oh, I have to get y'all up here and do one-on-ones. Like If I feel like doing that one day, I'll do it. But I haven't felt like doing that shit in a while. And here's another thing is I've also noticed that when people pay for the sessions, they lock in more. And when I have the things where I bring y'all up here for free and I might talk to y'all for an hour, it's like sometimes it's like the same question over and over and over again. It's like, damn, are you even taking this shit? Are you even taking this shit seriously? But like when I have one-on-one, people are like sitting there taking notes. They'll be like, hey, stop. I need to say that again. Let me get the recording, yada, yada. They'll watch it over again. But then I'll be like, hey, go watch the recording over. And the next time you'll come on, I'll be like, hey, did you watch the recording? No, but... So you're so focused. You're not even taking this shit serious. So at what point is it even worth it to do that shit? I'm not saying that y'all don't hear to learn. I'm just saying that, sometimes you put a whole lot of, sometimes you just put a lot of energy and stuff, and you just have to think about those things. Those are just logical questions to think about, right? I don't think that you ever treat yourself right if you just start pouring and pouring and giving and giving and giving and giving and don't ask these questions like, hey, are you actually taking care of yourself? But what I do appreciate though a lot, I appreciate y'all kind of walking me through y'all's journey. I appreciate especially like the success stories that y'all send me. I appreciate that. I appreciate just how y'all help each other. And I appreciate this community for sure, 100%. I appreciate this community 100%. And I know that a lot of y'all's lives are changing. I know it. Because y'all tell me all the time. So I love y'all for it. And I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just giving y'all my thought process on why I don't do kind of the panels all the time anymore. And I'm not just going live with a bunch of people anymore. It's just because that shit is draining, right? That shit is tiring. And I know my personality, I'm going to want to be patient. I'm going to want to pour into you. So if I don't have the energy to do it, I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. It's not that simple. Oh, what do you want? It's not that simple. That is true, KT. My bad. What's up, Expo? How you doing? Speaking of running out of time, your boy about to jump off of here today. Tuesdays are typically my chill days. I don't do clients. I don't really trade that much unless something's extremely clear, right? No, sir. You don't need to manifest. I'm not gonna tell you anything different than I've been telling you. You probably just need to rewatch some videos. We got a whole bunch of recordings of us talking on YouTube. You might as well just go watch them. You'll be cool. You'll be good. It's not like you don't need to learn anything more at all. You don't need to learn anything more. You just need to decide that you're doing everything right. You already are in the mindset that you're doing something wrong, and then you're wondering why reality's mirroring that to you. All right, y'all. I'm finna jump off here. Finna call it a night, man. But we'll be on probably tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow morning. We'll see. But okay. Love y'all. And of course, I'll try to put this document on YouTube. I haven't been uploading them on YouTube, y'all. My bad. I'll get them up there though. So.